Chapter 1. The Operative. On a freezing morning in February 1875, Patrick Tyrrell hopped off a streetcar in downtown Chicago, Illinois. A massive fire had gutted the city just 4 years before, but Chicago was already roaring back to life. Stone buildings were rising all around, and the wide sidewalks were jammed with people in a hurry. Tyrrell stepped through the doors of the newly rebuilt Palmer House Hotel and stood in the cavernous lobby. With its shining marble, glittering chandeliers, and columns reaching up to soaring ceilings, the place looked more like an overgrown palace than a hotel. But Tyrrell wasn't here to admire the architecture. He asked a clerk for the room number of his boss, the new Secret Service chief, Elmer Washburn. A powerfully built man with thick black hair, Tyrrell had spent his adult life chasing down crooks as a Chicago detective. Now 44, he was one of the newest operatives of the United States Secret Service. He knew all about Coney men like Pete McCartney. It was his job to put them out of business. The operative found Washburn's room, and the two men sat down to talk. The subject was the usual one, counterfeiters and how to nab them. Specifically, Washburn had taken the train from Washington to talk to Tyrrell about a particularly dangerous Coney man, an expert engraver and brother-in-law to Pete McCartney. The man was an even bigger thorn in the government's side than McCartney. In fact, he was a threat to the nation's entire economic system. His name was Benjamin Boyd. Born in Cincinnati in 1834, Boyd was the son of a master engraver. Engravers cut designs and pictures into metal plates, and the plates were then used to make prints on paper. Young Ben showed interest in his father's craft and obvious artistic talent. When Ben was still a teenager, his father set him up to study with one of the city's best engravers. The plan was that one day Ben would take over the family business. Other Cincinnati engravers noticed Boyd's skill, and one of them, Nat Kinsey, offered to teach the kid a few advanced techniques. Kinsey was known for his beautifully intricate engravings of landscapes. It was less well known that with that same steady hand and attention to detail, he also cut plates to print counterfeit money. Ben was tempted by the idea of making money, literally making it, and he learned quickly from Kinsey. At the age of 20, hunched over the desk in his room at his father's house, he cut his first 2 counterfeit plates, the front and back of a $20 bill. The quality of this 20 was Boyd's ticket into the secret world of counterfeiting. He hopped around the Midwest, cutting plates and printing Coney. Distributors bought the goods from him, usually for at least 15% of the fake money's face value. Distributors then doubled the price and sold the bills to shovers, whose job it was to pass the counterfeit cash in stores and banks. The potential profits were enormous. From just one set of $50 plates, Boyd printed $265,000, about $6 million in today's money. But it was a risky way to get rich. Boyd was arrested in Iowa in 1859 and sentenced to 2 years in the state penitentiary. After his release, Boyd moved to Illinois and went right back to cutting counterfeit plates. He partnered with Pete McCartney, and they set up a workshop in Mattoon. At some point in the early 1860s, Boyd met a young woman named Miranda Ackman, a pretty brunette, according to a later Secret Service report. Allie's father was yet another talented engraver gone wrong. Allie and her sister Martha had grown up helping their dad print and pass Coney in Indianapolis. Pete McCartney married Martha, and Ben fell for Allie. Ben and Allie started working together. He made the bills, she carried them to distributors in her straw shopping basket. Secret Service agents tracked the fake money to Mattoon and busted Boyd in his workshop. At the same time, another team of agents burst into a nearby hotel and grabbed Allie Ackman. When detectives searched Allie's basket, they found $30,000 in phony 50s, 20s, and 10s. It was a tight spot, but Ben managed to get both himself and his girl off the hook by agreeing to hand over a set of plates for printing $50 bills. The beautifully cut plates had taken about a year of painstaking labor to make.